How's it going? This is Michael Grove from Evolve Ministry. Nice to see everyone tonight. Um, right now we're still in lesson one. It's about the ego. And tonight what we're going to be covering is pride. Now pride is a very interesting topic because it spans a multitude of different areas. And there can be any number of root areas for pride. Okay, people have pride in their skin color. People have pride in their height, their weight, their looks, whatever. You know, pride stems from a lot of things. Number one, fear. Okay, usually people take pride in things that, like for instance, if it's their skin color, the reason why they take pride in their skin color is because they have the fear of actually another skin color dominating their own. It's pretty much the only reason. Um, Pride also stems from insecurities. Okay, so there's any number of insecurities. It could be down to having pimples. Okay, again, your looks, features, abilities. Oftentimes people take pride in any number of things. I notice when it comes to the whole left-right paradigm, Democrat versus Republican, people are really set in stone on that which they believe and that which they've cultivated in their mind as reality. And interestingly enough, I'm always amazed by the people that cannot see that it's literally two sides of the same coin. You see, it's heads here, tails there, one coin. That one coin is the government. Heads, Republican, tails, Democrat, vice versa, doesn't matter to me. The fact of the matter is it's one machine. That one entity is running things, and so regardless of whether you are Democrat or Republican, you're going to continue going on thinking that you're right and everyone else is wrong. No matter what, you're never going to see the flaws, and this is the very nature of pride. Pride does not allow one to see their own flaws, not very easily. And so it doesn't matter how many of these flaws that you may point out to a person or even prove to a person. If they're a very prideful person, maybe they even see those flaws as character strengths. So pride has an interesting system. Because like I said, if you take one facet or one modality of pride, you can see that off of it there's millions of branches or millions of arms, millions of legs that come off of it. And so you may have one central point, but because people take pride in so many things about themselves, and we live in the world of self-absorption and personalization, you know, and that's what's even worse is because we kind of live in a system that fosters it. So like Facebook, especially Facebook, because people are posting selfies and you know, there's nothing wrong with having selfies. I've posted a couple, you know, here and there too. Sometimes people go a little bit overboard with them, but the fact of the matter is most people, when they post stuff, they need the approval. Okay, so this goes back to a different section of this very same thing, the ego, but it goes back to wanting approval, back to needing someone to pat you on the back. And when we're online, oftentimes we really don't even think about the things that we're saying or the things that we're doing. Sometimes we just haphazardly post things up, hoping that it's kind of like fishing. Just reel someone in because you want someone to talk to. Well, you got to be careful about the things that you talk about. Of course, Facebook, I've watched that become a medium of which it could be an educational medium or a really good medium to really, well, at least with foreigners, you can do networking with foreigners. A lot of people from the United States don't really use Facebook for networking or communication. They just use it to post memes. And perplexes me. It amazes me how American society has willingly turned itself into a commercialized entity, and that's all the way down to the individuals that live here, because posting those memes are most of those things are corporate entities. And they put out those memes, and they kind of put up a clever little catchphrase, something that catches your attention for a second, makes you go, "Wow, that's neat." Post it on Facebook, and then you look like a philosopher. Look like you think deep. Fact of the matter is, someone posted a meme. It came from a corporation. There are people who do it, but for the most part, they do come from corporations. And then your participation in it makes them a whole lot of money. So it's amazing that we have, as a collective whole, our pride truly is in commercialized imports, exports, and goods, because even on an individual level, we're constantly basically tagging ourselves and putting all sorts of logos on us and everything else just by posting those memes. And believe me when I say this, that is not a way to criticize the people who do it. I understand why people are doing it, but I will say this, that all of us have our own thoughts. Every single one of us can think of very profound things, and you don't need to have a dead philosopher say it for you, okay? And you don't have to have a corporation tell you what's pretty to look at or what is insightful. So, moving right along, pride. Pride causes people to reject logic. It usually incites a ton of arrogance. Those who are very, very prideful, the most prideful of all will go towards the God complex. But there's so many different levels of how pride operates, that many times we don't even know that we're operating in a prideful way. We just naturally do it. So one has to look inside themselves and see what it is, those triggers, those things that tick inside of them that cause them to take pride in things that may not have any merit. There's plenty of things out there that really don't mean much. And then there's plenty of things out there that are extremely crucial that we never think about, we never put our money into, we never put our time or effort to even consider. Some of us are prideful about our cars. Some of us don't have cars at all. Some of us are prideful about our $1 million mansions. Some of us can barely afford an apartment. Okay? Some of us are prideful about our abilities to fight. Some of us are very prideful that we've never been in a fight in our lives. Okay? The thing is there's a flip side to all of it. And pride usually makes you pat yourself on the back and say, this is what makes me better than you. And I see it every day, even on, again, let's go back to Facebook, when people are arguing with each other right and left. And it is amazing how many people will put down other people and then point back to themselves and say, the reason why you suck is because I'm so cool. That's what it boils down to. I would never do something like that, therefore this makes you lower than I. Okay, so I watch people put themselves on pedestals daily. So this is something that is actually, especially when it comes to Westerners, who are very accustomed to putting themselves ahead of everybody and everything. It's always you first. First it's me, then it's everybody else. It's how Westerners think. So, man, by and large, we've been taught that way through, school, programming, all sorts of stuff, education system, as well as the entertainment system, as well as religion in a way. So, you got to keep in mind not to feed your own ego. You got to keep in mind to know and stay humble and realize that no matter how good you are at whatever you are, no matter what you are, there's always going to be someone bigger, better, smarter, They're going to know more than you. So, pride forces people to have nonstop competition factors in their minds. Okay? They're always thinking in terms of being one-upping someone or something else. It could be even a conversation. There are people out there that cannot let you feel good about anything. There are people out there who are so incredibly bullheaded that you can't even bring up someone else. You can't even say, so-and-so is such a great basketball player, it's amazing, because they'll say, yeah, but I've been doing this for so long, and just because they're professional doesn't mean that they're that great, because I could step in there and play against them and beat them. And no matter what you say to them, they've always got a retort to say, but I. So they're always bringing things back to themselves. Absorption, that inward magnetic. Okay? That is the negative charge. Okay, so inward, absorption, negativity. Outward, positivity. Pride has so many different facets to it that it can turn someone who is normally very logical into an extremely illogical human being. Now, lately I've had a couple of really good real life versions of dealing with someone who is, well, not only extremely prideful, and it's not just one person, but very egotistical to the point where it became God complex like. And there's, like I said, few. And it did not matter what kind of logic that you gave to them to help them and try to make them understand step by step the processes of which their lives have been degrading. Because at every turn they have got something to say back at you. Because they've developed this idea in their head that they are above the idea of being flawed. Now, I myself realize I'm extremely flawed. I've been flawed since I was a child. But these things are something that I had taken the time to go ahead and work on over a great deal of time. And so it was something that I started, my mid-20s. I'm 40 now, so I've been working on that for a good stretch of time, trying to get out all the bugs and the kinks of my former anger issues, my former lying issues when I was real young, so like right in the 22 to 24 area. So as a teenager all the way up until that time. It's a long time to lie, 10 years or so. But why do we learn to lie? Again, as in the chapter says, we're brought up lying so we can go out and hang out with our friends, right? Parents tell us at an early age that we can't just go around telling people what we really think or what we really feel. You can't just go walk up and say, oh, your hair sucks. Well, then you find out you're being dishonest. Now, parents at that time just call it being polite. But the fact of the matter is, the honest version of you may have said something. Maybe they wouldn't have said anything at all. But if you have someone telling you that you're not supposed to tell the truth, even though that's exactly what you were doing, there is a hypocrisy there, and that's what teaches us to do those sort of things. And so, as a very prideful person, we often will even lie to ourselves and really not allow ourselves to hear the very pertinent things about ourselves that we do need to address and change. Human beings, by default, because we live in a place that is separation oriented, we're kind of dipped in really a deep sort of nasty poo. Okay. The mere participation in a place like this is lying to you, because again, this is physical and it tells me that I'm separate from this. Okay? Or that camera is separate from me. And because of that, the very nature of that, it allows all sorts of behaviors that exist outside of a unified field. So, whereas in a unified field, we'd probably be very telepathic, and I've experienced telepathy tons. It's just part of my regular thing, if you will. And I can say this, if we were all to experience that sort of wire in or hookup, you would see that in the unified field, lying is useless because you'll never get away with it. Everyone will be able to hear it and feel it the moment you start talking about it. But in a unified system, you have the illusion that your thoughts are wrapped up inside your head instead of actually being projected outward, broadcasted by your brain. So for real, your brain's actually constantly broadcasting your thoughts. Constantly. And so whether you think you've kept it all a secret or not, I can tell you this, nothing, if it's in your head and you've thought about it, it's already out there, written in the fabric of space of time. It could be drawn up at any time. So I learned those things the hard way myself. This is the reason why we don't lie. It's the reason why we treat each other with respect. The prideful aspect of ourselves is a flawed aspect of ourselves. Because again, it allows for the idea of competition, or entertaining the idea that someone could actually be better than someone else due to winning a competition. It's an amazing thing about the human race. The human race is very interesting to me in that fact, because if I were to come from a different star system or something like that and watch how people behave when there are sports games, and I'm talking about the fans, then I watch the actual sports itself and everything that surrounds it, and all the commercialism, and it just seems like a circus. I can't help it. You know, I used to be an athlete, and I look at it now and I see it for what it is, which is a feeding frenzy of energy. So everyone should actually take a really good look at that and understand what it is that's happening there. Okay, there's a product being consumed. I want to repeat that. There is a product being consumed. And it's not just the game. And there is actual consumption. So we need to look inside of ourselves, understand what our triggers are, understand what it is that we gravitate towards, see why that is so important to us, and then in the grand spectrum of the infinity of the universe, ask yourself whether that problem means anything for real. And then go back in there into your heart and soul and remove that. There's no reason to be proud of this because of this. There's no reason to be proud of that because of that. Okay, I turned off all my pride buttons years ago. Sometimes I get proud of some of the work that I do. I'll be like, oh, I'm so happy I got it done. It looks so good. It's great. About a day, maybe even an hour of looking at it, maybe an hour or whatever. I put it up and then I'm on to something else. There's no time for me to be like happy about any one given thing. And I realize that. So, fact is, pride also allows you to become satisfied. If you're so prideful in your work, you'll sit on something, you'll do something, and be like, you see this? I did this and I finally got that done. And that will be the thing that you will parade around and show to everyone instead of moving forward and doing something even better than that. Everything's a work in progress. Everything can be improved upon, including yourself, and especially yourself. So, anyhow, if one doesn't stop the trigger of pride, because pride goes really far up that totem pole and actions and what could happen. A prideful person could be responsible for like taking candy from a kid, and a prideful person can also be responsible for murdering someone. So there are so many levels of it. And that's the reason why it's very good to understand what those triggers are, not only within yourself but within others. because you could be the difference between life or death on someone one day due to your observation and your awareness. Okay. Unconditional love to all. Michael Grubb from Evolve Ministry.